Something more important is happening between Finland and the US than just Finland joining NATO, and it's mostly been swept under the rug. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, along with Finnish Foreign Minister Elina Valtonen and Finnish Defense Minister Antti Häkkänen, signed the Defense Cooperation Agreement, giving the US military access to 15 bases in Finland and a direct border with Russia. Most people believe that the Cold War ended with the Soviet Union, yet recent relations between Russia and the West seems to indicate that the conflict has always been there. And now it seems to be broiling over in places like Georgia, Ukraine, and most recently, Finland.
Amended our defense cooperation agreement with Norway. Earlier this month, we signed a new defense agreement with Sweden. Later this week, we will sign a new agreement with Denmark. And of course, today, we will be doing this with Finland.
The recent endorsement by the United States of Finland's NATO membership, which came into effect in April 2023, marks a new chapter in this evolving narrative. As fears grow that Finland could be the next Ukraine, allies of the East and West are taking stock and stockpiling weapons. As we enter 2024, it seems all nations are looking for ways to mitigate this new era of geopolitical tensions and strategic realignments. My name is Dr. David Oualaalou, and you are watching Geopolitics in Conflict. Please remember to always keep an open mind while watching this video. Our show today is sponsored by don'twastepower.com. Since the early 20th century, the United States has been intricately involved in Finland's political landscape. Indeed, the United States was among the first nations to recognize Finland's independence in 1917, when it declared its independence from Russia. Despite having a lot in common with its eastern neighbor, Finland and Russia have rarely enjoyed long-term peace.
Energy bills are rising at a historic rate, and there's no end in sight. If you talk to enough people, you'll soon realize nearly everyone's shocked at their recent electricity bills. Some studies reveal energy costs have skyrocketed by as high as 60% in as little as 2 years. This is why tens of thousands are installing this magical little device to help slash their energy bills. This sophisticated gadget stabilizes electrical currents, reduces dirty electricity, and helps protect your appliances and electronics. Simply plug it into your home's wall outlet to help dramatically lower energy consumption and ultimately help reduce your power bills month after month. Countless 5-star reviews back up the notion that this device is one of the most efficient ways to save money while beating the greedy power companies. But there's more. If you place your order now, you'll also receive 65% off, fast shipping within the US, hassle-free returns, and last but not least, a 60-day satisfaction guarantee. Simply go to don'twastepower.com to take advantage of this limited time deal before they sell out. Once again, that's don'twastepower.com. That's don'twastepower.com. Order now.
After the Soviet Union fell, Finland's shift towards the West was met with an icy response from the Kremlin. As we enter a new era of political and diplomatic relations, the current political relationship between the United States and Finland is a tapestry woven with threads of diplomacy, strategic interests, and global political maneuvers. More recently, it has been characterized by mutual support and cooperation, exemplified by various diplomatic activities and agreements.
This agreement significantly enhances our ability to act together in all situations in military security defense fields.
However, this relationship does not exist in a vacuum. In fact, it has long been influenced by the broader geopolitical landscape, particularly the tensions involving the two countries and Russia. Western officials' escalating rhetoric and actions, including suggestions of restricting Russia's access to the Black Sea, reflect the narrow view of Western ill-conceived strategy. Finland has also significantly militarized its border with Russia, a move that has led many in the world's best places to live to wonder if they are sitting atop a massive tinderbox. Unfortunately, it seems the first match may have already begun struck. In October 2023, the Baltic Connector pipeline between Finland and Estonia ruptured after what was determined to be an external mechanical event.
It's too early to determine exactly what caused the damage to the pipeline and the cable. There are ongoing investigations, and until they are finalized, I think it's a bit too early to tell.
Fingers quickly went to a Chinese vessel called Niu Polar Bear, which was in the area at that time. Rumors of sabotage were quickly leveled by some anti-Chinese hardliners who've implied China may have done the deed on behalf of its Russian ally. Looks like more and more irrational thinking is becoming a hallmark in Western mindset. Whatever the truth may be, what matters is that the incident is only further polarizing Finland and Russia, with the United States and NATO being more than eager to accept the smaller country into its open, expanding arms, just as it did with Sweden. Indeed, even though the land of the Midnight Suns membership in NATO is incomplete, it has already brokered a deal with the United States to give American troops access to its military bases. Given this cozy relationship, many expect Finland to do the same. This would put the United States closer to Russia's border than they have ever been before. Military presence and defense cooperation suggest that the United States military presence in Finland, particularly in the wake of the latter's freshly announced NATO membership, has become more pronounced and strategic. The Russian-Finnish border stretches over 830 miles and is, much to the Kremlin's chagrin, now also the border of the European Union. Even staunch anti-Russian critics can't deny that such a move could be considered encroachment into the best of times. And with the proxy war already raging in the Ukraine, these are not the best of times. Meanwhile, tensions around Russia's western border continue to rage, creating a rift between East and West that some experts jokingly claimed can be seen from space. Russia's military operations in Ukraine was the result of NATO's expansion to Russia's doorsteps. The Kremlin claims that the attack was about protecting the interest of Russian-speaking population, but many see it as a directed message aimed at halting NATO's eastward expansion. Finland's support for Ukraine has totaled well over $100 million and includes food, funds, and arms. While this has almost certainly not been overlooked, most of the interaction between the two nations has focused on Finland's accusation that Russia is using migrants to create a humanitarian crisis on Finland's borders. In return, NATO and the United States have agreed to their defense strategies in the region, giving Russia provocation to warn them about militarizing the border.
We decided to close our entire eastern border. This is a strong enough signal, first of all, to Russia that we can't accept.
It's a complex to the point of being senseless, but that often seems like the point. As both sides find new ways to accuse the other of being provocative, they build up their store of defenses should someone fire a shot. Either way, the developments along the Finnish border seems indicative of a broader strategy by NATO to exert pressure on Russia, potentially leading to a cycle of military escalation that could recalibrate the balance of power in the region. Clearly, the geopolitical context behind the United States' presence in Finland is intricately linked to the broader dynamics involving Russia, the European Union, and NATO. The Arctic region has emerged as a significant arena for these geopolitical interactions. Even before the Ukrainian conflict, the European Union's updated Arctic policy and Finland's 2021 strategy for Arctic policy were reflective of a changing landscape. Overall, the strategies emphasizes the need for a more articulated approach from the European Union towards the Finnish Arctic, considering factors like climate, security, indigenous rights, trade, and scientific cooperation. This all sounds well and good until you hear about US officials stating to want to claim a significant portion of the Bering and Beaufort Seas seabed as their own. Given its location, it's hardly surprising that Russia views the Arctic as a vital area for its national security. It has been strengthening its military presence there for years, including reopening and modernizing Soviet-era bases, developing new defense capabilities, and conducting regular military exercises. The Arctic is rich in natural resources, including oil, gas, and minerals. The suspension of Russia's NATO mission and the closure of NATO's Moscow office in 2014 have given Putin an even bigger enemy than Stalin and Gorbachev found in the US, because every act on either side can be pointed as a form of antagonism. It forces other countries to take a geopolitical side.
Pro-Russia troops surrounding Ukrainian bases, ordering their forces off of them so they can occupy them. The international warning to Russia to end its invasion is being ignored.
For its part, the United States seems committed to working with Finland and sticking a figurative or alliterative flagpole in the Eurasia Arctic Circle. As usual, the two parts, United States is attempting to please both bases, balancing its policy in the Arctic between environmental concerns and resources development. Even since the incorporation of Alaska into the fold, the United States has struggled with how to defend its own Arctic foothold properly. Finland presents an interesting path towards a preemptive strike. Perhaps most frustrating in all of this is the numerous opinion leaders, countries, and pundits have developed about the situation. Some see NATO as the clear aggressor, gobbling up countries along Russia's border in an effort to either box the country out of the national stage or somehow takes over its lands or resources. Others see both NATO and Russia as aggressors, stating that the rising tensions between the West and East only make sense. These people see the world as a giant risk board and feel that shoring up allies and assets is just a precursor to a larger protracted conflict. Finally, some see NATO as the last basin of freedom against the Eastern powers. They see Putin as power-hungry and eager to rebuild the Soviet Union and secure his legacy. This reflects the World War mentality that some have not came to grip with. If you look at the facts, in so much as they are facts anymore, every single opinion has at least some merit behind it. Still, neither conspiratorial nor mainstream sources have yet to ring the bell on what will happen if the Arctic becomes an economic, environmental, or literal battleground. Whatever the case may be, the future of US-Finland relations is poised at a critical crossroads. Russia knows this and has recently redeployed Yar's intercontinental ballistic missile closer to western borders. It also began testing the world's largest ballistic missile, Titan II, in the Arctic region. These military maneuvers signal a significant shift in Russia's strategic posture, which could have a huge influence on the United States and Finland going forward. The Arctic region, meanwhile, is at a juncture where conflict or cooperation can unfold, depending on the strategic decisions of the Arctic Council and its member states. Of course, the role of observers and non-Arctic states in the Council and the potential dissatisfaction of states like China and India with their observer status will also impact future geopolitical dynamics. For more than 4 decades, the world held its breath as the US and USSR held locked in a conflict that quite literally had the potential to destroy the entire world. And when the Soviet Union fell, a collective sigh of relief washed across the globe. Today, the United States' increased interest and presence in Finland and all the baggage that comes with it is one of the biggest signs that some grudges never go away. Here is my conclusion for you. One thing is sure, the Arctic to Russia is what Berlin was to the West. The great powers' competition during the Cold War in Europe will now be replicated into the Arctic in the 21st century. But this time, you have to add China to the contest. As always, prepare yourself for the changing world order. Till next time. Thank you.